Igor Dyatlov, along with 9 of his friends, died mysteriously on February 2nd, 1959, at the peak of Kholat Syakhl. Later, this passage was named after the leader of the group, Igor Dyatlov, in memory of the young people who lost their lives. According to preliminary reports, the bodies had strange and unexplained injuries, and some had signs that suggested they had been exposed to radiation. What was even stranger was the location of the bodies. According to first impressions, the young people who woke up from their sleep seemed to have torn the tents from the inside and ran away from their tents in panic and ran to their deaths. While the research was ongoing, the Soviet administration of the period stopped the work, which turned the incident into an even more mysterious dimension, and mind-bending conspiracy theories were produced. But the truth could not be fully reached, and in February 2019, Russian authorities surprisingly announced that they would open the file regarding this incident for re-examination. So, what happened to these young people? These were the years when the Cold War reached its peak. 10 students from the Urals Polytechnic Institute went on an expedition in the Ural Mountains, which separate Europe and Asia. The aim of the group is to complete a 300-kilometer nature walk and obtain a highly prestigious certificate, which was very popular in the Soviet Union at that time. The group, which consisted of all experienced skiers, was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. In the group of 8 men and 2 women, minus one of them, were between the ages of 20 and 24, except for Zolotaryov, who was 38 years old. The harsh winter conditions made it clear from the beginning that the journey would be very difficult. One of the group members, Yuri Yudin, returned home, leaving her belongings with the other members of the group due to severe pain that limited her walking. The 9 people left behind would never be able to return home again. The missing students began their journey on a sleeper train. On January 23, 1959, the trip was planned to be completed on February 12th. However, although a few days delay due to bad weather conditions was considered normal, when the date showed February 20th, it was clear that something was wrong. Upon the application of the families, small teams were formed to search for the missing students. On February 26th, search teams found the campsite and tent. The tent was half destroyed, damaged, but standing. It was partially covered with snow. The tent was torn from the inside. All of the group's belongings, including their backpacks and shoes, were abandoned inside. There were footprints from the tent to the forest area, some naked and some with socks, and the researchers who followed the tracks found 2 bodies under a large pine tree. One of the bodies belonged to Yuri Doroshenko. Next to him was Yuri Krivnishenko. Both were naked and had no shoes. They were wearing only their underwear. 3 more bodies were found further down: Dyatlov, Kolmogorova and Slobodin. It was clear from the positions of the bodies that they were trying to return to the tent. Igor Dyatlov had no clothes or shoes. He was lying face down on the ground, hugging a tree branch nearby. The body of Zinaida Kolmogorova looked as if she desperately wanted to climb the hill where the tent was located. Long-distance runner Rustam Slobodin, who was wearing layers of clothing, was found with his watch stopped at 8:45. Apparently, he died after them and tried to protect himself from the cold by taking the clothes of his dead friends. The bodies of the remaining 4 people could not be found. 4 months later, on May 4th, they were found under 4 meters of snow on a valley beyond the camp. 3 of them were better dressed than the others. Thus, it became clear why the first corpses were naked. It turned out that the clothes of those who died first were taken off to be used by others. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, a nuclear physics student, Alexander Kolovatov, had deep wounds behind their ears, and their necks were turned upside down. The youngest member of the group, Lyudmila Dubinina, and the oldest member, sports teacher Semyon Zolotaryov, had multiple broken ribs, and Zolotaryov had an open wound on his skull. The skull bone was visible through this wound. Both of them had their eyes removed, and Lyudmila had no tongue. The cause of death of the students was recorded as hypothermia and freezing. However, the findings on some corpses could not be explained by cold. Following this incident, many conspiracy theories were put forward. One of the conspiracy theories was that young people were victims of nuclear testing. What could happen that would wake the young people from their sleep and send them into panic? Although the investigation of the group's disappearance was initially suppressed by the Soviet administration, this is the main reason for the production of a wide variety of conspiracy theories. Concealing domestic information was a standard procedure for that period, and therefore it was not a very undeniable situation. Coming back to the incident, the phenomenon of panic and the positions of the corpses bring to mind loud explosions. As a matter of fact, forensic experts who examined the incident at that time stated that the wounds on the corpses were the result of an explosion wave. On the other hand, there are records of parachute mines being tested by the Soviet army in the region. While the students were on the mountain, it is stated that parachute mines can cause injuries similar to those seen in students by creating a blast wave in the air before hitting the Earth's surface. The fact that the young people panicked enough to cut their tents from the inside and tried to go out with bare feet shows that they had difficulty breathing. The information in the autopsy reports that radioactivity was found in some corpses and that there were burns on the hair and skin supports the claims of military experimentation. Relatives of the victims also described the bodies as having orange skin and grey hair. In February 2019, Russian authorities made a surprise decision and opened the file regarding this incident for re-examination. At the end of the investigation, it was evaluated that an avalanche hit the students' tents and dragged the students into fatal conditions. However, the existence of an avalanche in that area was never reported, and furthermore, the tent in question did not appear to have been buried under an avalanche. The truth behind this tragic event is still unclear. Some suggest that military experiments or radiation exposure may have caused the young climbers' deaths. Others believe that the avalanche brought disaster. However, there is a fact that the Dyatlov Pass incident is known as one of the biggest secrets in history. What do you think might have happened to the young climbers? Share your thoughts in the comments and help us solve this mystery.